Hey, Chris Liepe here. Territorial, Pissings, Nirvana. Amazing song. Incredible vocal performance. Isolated tracks. We get to enjoy the isolated tracks. A lot of subtle production that goes into things in terms of like the sound of the instruments and how it all fits together. And they were everybody involved was very smart when it came to knowing just how something should fit. But there's not a lot to the arrangement. It's a very live in studio vibe. That's the way Kurt wanted it. He didn't even like the idea initially of doubling his voice because that didn't seem real or authentic enough. It wasn't until he learned that John Lennon did this quite a bit, who also didn't like doing it, that he was accepting of the technique. But as we go through these tracks, I want you to keep something in mind about Kurt's vocal performance. Kurt's voice was so good because of his attitude. Kurt's voice was so good because of his attitude. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the video as we get into these, but I want to plant that seed now. If you're interested in singing rock music but don't know where to start or keep killing your voice, I've got a perfect place for you to start. Click the link below and join my free voice course. I'll help you develop the support and techniques that you need to sing in these ways. So consistent, good organic kick sound. Dave just hit those drums and they sound amazing because the way things are being hit. No amount of tuning or sample replacement or punching or gets that kind of drumming. So much pocket too. Incredible. More on the bass here. Fun to see and hear Chris dig in right here. A very, very nonchalant, there's really no other way to describe it, that punk rock attitude of just getting in there and playing, but with a degree of precision as well. Now, these guitars in isolation are just beautiful. What's so fun about hearing that progression with no other instruments coming in is that you can hear the layers, that sound, the cleaner underpinnings of the different performances and different tones. There were lots of doubles going on and everything was very different sounding, but designed to fit together like pieces of a puzzle. That is one crazy far out guitar tone. And then putting it in context, it doesn't lend itself to being that screwy sounding in the context of the mix. But if you were to just have the fizzy sound, you wouldn't get the percussion of the clanking of the strings. So there's a real clean sound in there with the fizzy sound. not a lot of people today recording guitar think about guitar production in this way. I think it's important that we do that. It's the sum of the parts that make a very simple line like they're just strumming power chords basically, but the way it's played, the way it's produced, the way that the tones are meticulously blended together. So cool. Now, as we get into this vocal performance, if you sing or have ever tried to sing, I want you to think about something. As you hear Kurt crack, as you hear incidental things happen with his voice, what do you hear him doing? There are all sorts of things that you're going to hear that you don't even necessarily hear in the same way in the full mix. But you're going to hear all sorts of things that if that sound in isolation came out of your voice, you would go, oh, better do that again. Oh, my voice cracked. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, my tone is... And you would clam up. You would be afraid of what aggression, abandonment, a carefree, I don't care what anybody else says, I'm going to just let it all out. You probably can't do that like Kurt does and like he demonstrates on this vocal performance because you're too afraid of what might happen. If you are not afraid, if you choose, it starts with a choice, if you choose to not be afraid of what might happen and lean into those imperfections, that's why I said it's about mindset, you will discover this way of singing. Yeah, there's a lot of technique and a lot of things to consider, but this way of singing you'll discover is a lot easier than you might think.
When I was an alien, cultures weren't opinions. Gotta find a way when I'm there. Gotta find a way, a better way.
Notice how much distortion is present in the recorded signal. We spend so much time, oh, did I clip? Oh, I want to make sure I get a good clean signal. Nah, don't get a good clean signal. Get a nice saturated signal full of attitude. And if that includes some clipping or some overmodulation, great.
Gotta find a way, a better way. Never met a wise man.
I mean, there's so much exaggeration here that's happening that his attitude is coming out of this exaggerated state. It's over the top. If you were to picture yourself doing this,
never met a wise man.
Is that how he does it? Wise man. That's too goofy or silly or stupid for most of us to do, but it's not in this context when Kurt does it because it's born out of genuine aggression and complacency at the same time. I mean, it's that kind of thing that's happening. When we study Kurt's voice, when we study any Nirvana song and we want to put some of that inspiration in our own music, and we should because it's missing from a lot of today's music, we have to realize that it comes from the opposite of good. The good that we like comes from the opposite of good in this particular way of working musically.
Never met a wise man. If so, it's a woman. Gotta find a way when I'm there. Gotta find a way, a better way.
Now listen there.
Gotta find a way, a better way.
His voice is cracking. It's right there, and you can hear that one a little bit on the actual recording. Full mix.
Gotta find a way, a better way.
This exposes to the discerning ear several things. He is not trying to go for precision at all. Gotta find a way, a better way when I'm there. No. Gotta find a way. There's this aspect of like complete abandon and carelessness. Let your voice crack. I don't care. You hear more of that in older recordings and more of that even towards the end of this song. A better way! That's where this is coming from. A better way. Oh! And you can even hear in my own voice, there's cracking, there's inconsistency. You hear that in Kurt's voice too, but it's the leaning in that creates this sound. And it's the not shying away from when something unexpected happens that creates the totality of engagement and attractiveness to this type of singing and performance.
A better way! Gotta find a way when I'm there!
Leave it in. It's part of the attitude.
Find a way when I'm there! Gotta find a way, a better way!
How many of us, if we were tracking vocals, would go, oh, we can't keep that?
A better way!
It's right there. In fact, this kind of approach is what taught me how to scream, because I heard this kind of vulnerability and mistake.
A better way!
A better way! A better way! A better way! It's a combination of sighing and and letting your voice break and leaning into that vocal break. I've talked about this in a lot of videos, but I need to draw the parallel as we're going through this.
Just because you're paranoid don't mean they're not after you.
Listen to all that pitch discrepancy. Who cares? And also listen to his phrasing.
Just because.
How he's bringing the from back to forward. Just because. This is another thing we always miss because we're too afraid of being good. Like, what's my best tone? Or how should I approach? He's doing it in lots of different ways at the same time. Moving, Now, is he thinking about, I better place that note back and then forward? No. But if we take these kinds of things that we hear from his voice and experiment doing them in our own voice without judging how we sound right away, because remember, we're going to sound silly to our own ears when we start doing what he's doing because we don't have the attitude. But if we internalize how some of these things feel and then revisit these sensations when we're in a particularly spunky or vulnerable mood, things start to click.
Don't mean they're not after you. Gotta find a way, a better way, when I'm there. Gotta find a way, a better way, a better way. Gotta find a way, when I'm there.
Now, you may make the argument, and it is a good argument, that at the end of this recording, his voice was likely completely trashed, and that there were various evidences of him having problems with his voice sometimes because he just didn't take care of it, or maybe he didn't have good technique. I'm going to argue against that. Yes, his voice was probably tired and somewhat trashed after recording stuff like this. And no, he didn't have a huge focus on technique, but that doesn't really matter to us. If we want to learn how to sing like this and do things with our voice like this, we can do it safely with the right level of moderation and intensity and with the right technique and still be okay with our voice, not damage our voice. Just because someone did doesn't mean it's universally bad or wrong. It's another thing that common voice education, or really music education in general, does this. We have to learn how to do things right. Well, yes, sort of. But more, you should learn how to do things in cool ways and disregard right and embrace cool, and then figure out ways to use right to support your cool. Instead of, I'm not going to do that. That sounds like it might hurt.
Better way! Gotta find a way when I'm there! Gotta find a way, a better way, a better way! Gotta find a way, a better way when I'm there! Gotta find a way, a better way!
it totally works. It totally works because of the attitude of the band, the production, and Kurt himself. Nobody on the planet is judging him for his voice cracking at the end here. Everybody's going, cool, he was into it. Everybody is. And we want more of that. We want more of that attitude. If there's anything that you take away from this video, take that. You hear this, I hear this, and I'm inspired by it. I'm not turned off by it. I'm inspired. So when we are singing, when we are performing, when we're creating our own music, is trying to hit everything, cross all the T's and dot all the I's, is that inspiring? No. Being imperfectly you is inspiring.